Good evening. This is Phelan with the Taylorsville Rose of Christ. Here to give you your daily dose of encouragements. On today, since our brother Andrew is dealing with some things right now, so I'm having the privilege of actually being the one to speak for you today. And I want us to come from the book of John today, chapter 12. And we're going to talk about the blessing it is to be made alive again in Christ. We who once were dead, being alive again. And we're going to look at John 12, which gives us an actual physical demonstration of the dead being brought to life through Lazarus and Jesus's historical event. So let's go ahead and read John chapter 12, verse 1, which reads, Then 6 days before the Passover, Jesus came to Bethlehem. Not Bethlehem, but to Bethany, where Lazarus was, who had been dead, whom he had raised from the dead. And so background, we were in chapter 11. We were in chapter 11, and Lazarus had been resurrected by Jesus in that chapter. And here we are in chapter 12, verse 1, and Jesus is now at the dinner table with Lazarus. And so we have this idea. Of one who was formerly dead and wrapped in cloth and inside of a tomb. Not an idea, but the actual literal image. He was wrapped in cloth, placed in a tomb, and now we have him sitting at the dinner table with Jesus. And it's a very interesting image, because when we think about this in real life, we actually can imagine sitting at the table with friends and family members that have passed on, who have been dead for quite a while or recently passed, and what we would give to just be able to experience one more moment with them, or for them to even be brought back to life, to continue experiencing life with them. Just imagine, and this is something we brought up in my John class this past Sunday. Imagine your family member or your friend, and you're at their funeral, and you're by their gravesite, and you see them being placed in the grave, and then the next day you're having dinner with them. Wouldn't that be amazing? That would be amazing to see your family and friends come back to life again. But we know that's not the case in reality. Once you're passed away, once you're dead, you're gone. There is no coming back. There is no more physical existence, and prayerfully we'll be able to see one another again in heaven. But we want to apply this spiritually by looking at the book of Ephesians. We want to look at the book of Ephesians, and we're going to be looking at chapter 2. Chapter 2, verses 1 through 3 or 4. Let's go ahead and read verses 1 through 8. So it says, And you he made alive, who were dead in trespasses and sins, in which you once walked according to the course of this world, according to the prince of the power of the air, the spirit who now works in the sons of disobedience, among whom also we all once conducted ourselves in the lust of our flesh, fulfilling the desires of the flesh and of the mind, and were by nature children of wrath, just as the others. But God, who is rich in mercy, because of his great love with which he loved us, even when we were dead in trespasses, made us alive together with Christ. By grace you have been saved, and raised us up together, and made us sit together in the heavenly places in Christ Jesus, that in the ages to come he might show the exceeding riches of his grace and his kindness toward us in Christ Jesus. For by grace you have been saved through faith, and that not of yourselves. It is the gift of God. So what we have here is a spiritual demonstration of being raised again from the dead, being given life after death for those who have become Christians, for those who have been obedient to the gospel of Christ. We have been made alive again. We were once just like Lazarus, only spiritually. And now we are made alive again. Colossians 2 verses 11 through 14 says, in him you were also circumcised with a circumcision made without hands, by putting off the body of the sins of the flesh by the circumcision of Christ, buried with him in baptism, in which you were also raised with him through faith in the working of God, who raised him from the dead. And you, being dead in your trespasses and the uncircumcision of your flesh, he has made alive together with him, having forgiven you all trespasses, having wiped out the handwriting of requirements that was against us, which was contrary to us. And he has taken it out of the way, having nailed it to the cross. Having disarmed principalities and powers, he made a public spectacle of them, triumphing over them in it. So just as Jesus had been resurrected, just as Lazarus has been resurrected, we have also been resurrected. We have become alive again, putting off the body of sin and taking up the spirit of Christ. But the blessing comes through Jesus, because it's only through his resurrection that we have hope. Not Lazarus' resurrection, but Jesus's. Jesus' resurrection gives us the ultimate hope, because we know that he lives again at the right hand of God. And where he is, we can be also after we die or at judgment. But the blessing in this passage that we just read is the fact that we can understand, for those who follow the Old Testament only and don't adhere to the New Testament and don't live by the New Testament gospel, you can realize that in this passage, the Old Testament will not save you alone. You have to know and understand and abide by the new covenant of Christ. You have to understand that the Old Testament, or the Mosaical dispensation, the law, cannot save you. And this passage clarifies that. And so we must understand, for those who abide by the law only, that you still have hope as long as you're alive to recognize the gospel of Christ and being obedient to the New Testament covenant. So I hope this passage or this lesson has blessed your life, and I hope that you live abundantly, since you have been raised from the dead, and that you make the best of it. God bless you, and have a blessed evening.